sometimes the reason why you feel overwhelmed is because you don't have the right support that you need on your team. And one person is having to do the work of two people, or you are having to do the work of two or three people. And that may just be the case. And in which case, no matter the systems and structure you put in place, your mental well-being will still take a hit and be impacted. And the people working with you will also feel the same height of overwhelm. And so how do you realistically approach this? You approach this by asking for the help that you need. The whole aim of this voice note to you is to make sure that you are asking appropriately so that you can get the support that you need. The first thing I need you to understand is you need to have a clear view of what you need, because the clearer you can see the need, the better you can have the conversation around asking for the support that you need. You may be asking for more capacity within your team, more expertise, because sometimes, and I've seen all sorts in my career, sometimes you will have a lot of people on your teams, but none of them is experienced enough to do the work you want them to do. So it is not just about having people around you, it is having the right level of resource. And I call that quality of resource. So you need a quality of resource. And part of it can also be maybe your team is well resourced, it's just that deadlines are too tight and they are biting. So you want to make sure that you are asking for the right level of, the right level of quality that you need on your team. You are identifying the right amount of capacity you need filled out on your teams. And you're also checking the deadlines as well to see, even if you have the right people on your team with the right quality and deadlines, absolutely doable and realistic for your team. So you want to check that. So be very clear what you need from a capacity perspective. How many more hours do you need on your team to be able to deliver at your best? Look at the expertise on your team. Do you need people with more skill sets, maybe around data analytics, around people, around, technology, or whatever that may be, around leadership? What expertise do you need on your team? Then think about, is it the case that we have the right people, but it's just the deadlines that need to move? And then think about other things as well. So first thing, be clear on what you need before having the conversation. Make sure you have like a framework or some metrics, some numbers in your mind that helps you have the conversation. Now, the next thing you need to be thinking about is, how do I strengthen my request? Because it's not just going and saying, okay, we have this capacity need, but there is no data to support it. There is no fact pattern to support it. There is no, okay, yes, we're overwhelmed. By how many hours per day is your team having to pull? So for instance, if you're saying you have 3 people working with you, everybody closes maybe at the exact time every other person closes, you're still able to hit your deadlines, nobody works weekends. It begins to make your leaders wonder, if you say you all are overwhelmed, but none of you is pulling any overtime, you're not working weekends, why then do it? Just feels like you're being adequately resourced. Again, you may need to think of it, especially if you have like team members who are working weekends, or even you are working weekends, but you're not flagging it. They would think that the hours during the normal contractual hours is enough. So you need to monitor the workloads of your team and see how many more hours they're doing beyond normal, and try to pull that together to be able to have this conversation. It has to be a data-driven conversation. Okay. Now, when you're having a conversation, it is so easy for you to be dragged into the problems. You can just say, oh, we need people. Oh, the workload is too much. The workload is overwhelming, and all of that and all of that. What that sounds sensible, it does not easily buy over somebody who is going to make that decision. You need to help them see what they are missing. And that also applies in brand building as well, and selling. I do a lot of selling of my products, selling of my community, selling of my one-on-one sessions and all of that. And I know for a fact that when I'm having conversations with people, I'm trying to get them into any of the programs, what I am telling is not really the problem they're going through right now. Maybe they've told me the problem they're going through. I'm not regurgitating to them the problem they're going through. I'm making them see what their lives will look like if I come into the scene. So it's the same way you should go about every negotiation, everything you want people making decisions about on your behalf. think about, okay, what will our delivery look like? Will it be improved? Will the quality of our work be better? Will there be reduced pressure on the team? Is the clients and the customer going to have better experience if we do this? Is there going to be a reduction in the workload of even your bosses are going to make the decision as well because there are more people through the process and what comes to them is better? Find a way to make them see what they are missing. That is one of the best ways for you to sell an idea of another team member. You need another team member. You need another skilled person on your team. Another thing you need to think about is don't just be one way, silo. And in my own line of work, I do a lot of negotiation every single day. I'm pitching an approach. I'm pitching a process. I'm pitching a way of doing something. I'm pitching overtime. I'm pitching overruns. There's just a lot of things I'm doing. I want someone to buy my idea. In fact, today I was in a 30-minute meeting earlier today with someone that was trying to sell my idea of something to, and it was a lot of back and forth because they were not keen into what I was saying. I was not keen into what they're saying. So I know how this sort of negotiations work. So sometimes it's not just one way. You have to now think about, okay, if this person is not buying this, maybe they can buy something else. So for instance, instead of just, saying, I just need an additional staff, you can talk to them about, okay, that's fine. I mean, looking at everything we have on our plate, which is 10 things, is there a way we can do a reprioritization so we can do some of them later in the month? That will give the team enough opportunity to focus on the things that we're focusing now. Is there an opportunity to extend the deadline? Can we get support, external support, rather than just this team doing all this piece of work? Is there an aspect of this work that can be done by a specialist team or can be done by another team? You can think about all of that, or just a temporary redistribution of work across the broader team. Think about that. So don't just be silo. I want another staff and that is it. There are usually options. So don't always go with a single ask. So think about that. And finally, I would say always think sustainability. Sustainability being, how can we make sure that even if this is not this doesn't have to be a temporary fix. What can we do to make sure that everybody on the team continues to enjoy the work they do, and that this remains something that is not just a temporary fix, but it continues to be a fix? Think about well-being of your team. Think about how the whole place is better, how everybody experiences their job. Think about all of those when you're pitching about, additional capacity on your team and getting people on board. Again, as I say in the beginning, sometimes the reason why you're overwhelmed is because you need support, you need help, you need maybe one more skilled person in the team. So going to have that conversation is quite critical. Or all of these things that I've just shared with you will help you have the right conversation. I was having a chat with one of the managers in the big four firms in the UK, and they were talking to me about how they were struggling, how they had to do a lot of things and all of that. And I was saying to them that, listen, you need to go and have the conversation about how your team is resourced, but you cannot go there without data, because if you go without data, I have been through this. I can tell you for free, they're going to tear you apart. Like, they're going to tear all the things you're saying apart. If you're saying your team is overworking, but when they look at the timesheets of your team is charging the exact contractual hours, nobody's going to take you seriously. So if your team is working overtime, there has to be a way to flag it. And how many hours overtime are they working in such a way that if you combine all the total hours of overtime your team is spending, how many more hours do you need on a daily basis to be able to have a normal working process on your teams? So those are the kind of conversations that needs to happen. So I hope this blesses you. It's fantastic.